Okay, this is part two with Melissa Smith Abbott and her book. I'm going to hold the book up because we didn't do it in the first piece like I said we were going to do because I was doing bad direction. This is The Legacy of Three Melissas. Authentic and original Cape Ann recipes from the Blacksmith Shop, the Anadama Bakery, the Easterly Inn, the Faraday Inn, and the Cable House. And there's Melissa. So Melissa, why don't we talk about the actual recipes that are in the book in our second piece?
Well, it's very interesting because I have a small book that was my great-grandmother Melissa's from the 1920s era. And it really only has a few recipes in it, but I treasure it, and I have scans of that book and about 12 of the recipes in this book. So those are the earliest recipes.
Did you have to transcribe it, or could you read her writing? Because sometimes you look at that old writing and you're like, what the hell are they talking about?
I had to pretty much transcribe it because, yeah.
Yeah, those old, the writings. That's kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah, but you have those scanned into the book, so you can.
Well, I have some pictures of her scans. Actual writing scanned in.
Cool.
And then my grandmother Melissa wrote her first cookbook in 1947, which she sold at the Blacksmith Shop, and I have the recipes from that. And then in 1970, she published another recipe card file, and that was very comprehensive, and I have a lot of the recipes from that. Not every single one, but a lot of them. And then she published another book in 1988 or 89 called All My Treasured Recipes from All My Kitchens. And I have a lot of recipes from that, and those encompass like the Cable House, because that was her retirement business. She ran the Cable House and all her muffin recipes from that particular inn. But I grew up, I took my first order in the Blacksmith Shop when I was 5 years old with a waiter standing behind me, actually doing the writing, and I was pretending to be a waitress. And they thought I was very cute. So I grew up in the business, bussing tables, washing dishes, talking to people. And that's how I learned to basically talk to people, because we had every kind of person coming into the restaurant from every place in the world, every social,
Yeah, Rock was very, very...
Well, there were a lot of artists, there was a lot of intelligentsia, there were a lot of tourists, there was every kind of person, so you had to learn how to talk to everyone and explain to them how to eat a lobster, what Anadama bread was. And on every table there was a bottle of salad dressing, and it was called Melissa's garlic dressing, and it was her trade secret. She did not give that recipe out, and she did not tell me the recipe till I was in my 30s.
It's in there?
It's in here.
Ooh,
yeah,
hey,
it's in
worth
here.
the price of admission right there.
Melissa's garlic dressing.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it's made with fresh eggs, and in this day and age, people don't really use it because of the salmonella. I guess they didn't have those concerns in those days. But if you have really fresh eggs, they're really fresh, you can make it, and I've made it a few times. But she had a table where we'd sell Anadama bread, Joe Frogger cookies, which were these big platter-shaped cookies that were made with rum and molasses, and the fishermen took them to sea because they lasted a long time. And they were also delicious.
Yeah.
And we sold Cape Ann blueberry cake, and all the different things that we had. And so that I would basically push what we had the most of.
Yeah, right.
How do you say that?
That's business, yeah.
Yeah, that was business. So if there were a lot of clams in the walk-in, push the clams.
The clams are great today.
The clams are great today. Swordfish is fantastic.
Exactly, right?
The baked stuffed Philly sole with the lobster Newburgh sauce is great. And she was one of the first businesses around here to import French chefs, because her own brother had gone to the Cordon Bleu cooking school in the 1930s. So she was familiar with a lot of the techniques. And this was before Julia Child. This was before the art of mastering French cooking. So she had one chef that worked in the Blacksmith Shop for years and years named Marcel, who didn't speak English very well and really didn't really want to know what he was saying anyway. But she had things on the menu like frog's legs, and
wow.
beef bourguignon, way ahead of her time.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the recipes in the book do seem old-fashioned, which they are, and a lot of them aren't how I cook nowadays, which is a little bit different. So it is a historic document, though, so I approached it from that, and I don't make any apologies that they aren't, you know, modern cuisine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is the old-fashioned things.
Cool. All right, do you have a website?
Yes, it's anadamabreadbook.com.
Anadama Bread Book. And there's no two M's or two N's or two D's. It's Anadama, just the way it sounds. Yeah, I'm going to put it right like this.
anadamabreadbook.com. And there's also sample pages of the book on the website, and a little taste of it, so you can get the idea. You know, but I also have all, you know, pictures of the old wrappers from the Anadama Bread Bakery. Now, in 1956, my grandfather bought a piece of land down behind the railroad station on Pools Lane in Rockport, and he built a $250,000 bakery, which was a huge manufacturing business for Cape Ann in the 1950s. And they employed, you know, 70 people and had 40 trucks, and they distributed Anadama bread throughout New England. And it was a difficult business. It was a hard business, and he worked diligently at it. But the family didn't continue baking it after his death in 1970 because it was just a little.
Yeah.
It was a little too much with owning the other restaurants.
Right.
So it did go out of business, but a lot of local bakers still bake it to this day.
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
Yeah.
You get Anadama bread. George's Coffee Shop, I know, has it.
Virgilio's
yeah.
has it. The Latta Farms in Rockport, and those places would be wise to read the recipe.
Oh, I'll take it. Okay.
No, just in terms of the. Because what they bake is good, but
Yeah.
just in terms of the technique.
Right.
Because I really get into the book how my grandfather figured out, you know, how to really make it the authentic way. And there had been a baker in the turn of the century in Rockport who lived on King Street. His name was Knowlton. And he delivered Anadama bread all around town in a horse-drawn cart. And his delivery people wore blue smocks.
Wow.
So various people have had commercial bakeries over the years.
My first experience with Anadama bread was the Firehouse restaurant in
Lanesville?
In Lanesville.
Yeah.
Me and my cousin Frankie, when we just had got our licenses, we were working down the dock. We would drive all the way over there from East Gloucester, and because they had such great breakfast there. And,
I know.
You know, they had such a small room, but we'd always get the Anadama French toasters.
Well, Lila F. Klinteberg made that Anadama bread. And she wholesales it to the restaurants.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, she still does?
I think she's the one who sells it to a lot of the restaurants who still have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the one.
Okay. How do we get a hold of her?
Call her up. She's in the phone book.
Say it again. What was the name?
Lila F. Klinteberg. You know Astrid F. Klinteberg.
Yeah, of course.
It's
yeah.
her mother. Her mother and brother bake it now.
Lila F.
Klinteberg.
Klinteberg.
Yeah, like Astrid ran.
What does it start? What's the first letter in the so that people can look it up in the phone book?
AF.
AF.
And then capital KLINTABERG. But she doesn't sell it
to people.
to
She sells
retail.
it to, I
People
see.
call her and beg her for it.
Oh,
No,
wow.
she doesn't.
Interesting.
I mean, she might.
Well, I know you can
I
buy
shouldn't
it.
really speak for her.
I'm pretty sure you can buy it at George's Coffee Shop.
Right.
You can buy
the coffee
loaves of
shop
bread
will
there.
sell it.
Yeah.
So you can buy it at George's,
Yeah.
and they probably buy it from her.
There you go. Melissa, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you
All right.
so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
this with us. This is great.